So welcome back, and I'm sure you enjoyed that conversation talking about the past-present loop or the future-present loop. What do we need to do now, and who do I need to be now? Who do we need to be now in order to have the X-Factor business? Just to finish this particular model off, and we spoke about these before, a business that heads south doesn't reinvent itself. It's behind the marketplace, and it's going to head towards extinction. The business that actually just keeps pace with change, well, quite simply, it's going to head towards surviving. And the final, where the business reinvents itself, the X-Factor business starts to actually get out there and thrive in the marketplace. I think it's also important here to mention this gentleman by the name of Charles Darwin. And Charles Darwin said, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. In actual fact, it's the people and it's the businesses that are most responsive to change. So if we look at that, that's the most adaptable to change, the most flexible, and the most willing to actually make decisions, take actions that may be different from the past, but essential to actually achieve their future. So it's a very simple reminder as to where we focus and how we actually need to get out there and make it happen. The next thing we're going to focus on is a wonderful thing called time wasters. Now, by time wasters, what we're talking about are the things that are getting in the way of you being productive and focused within your day. What are the things that are actually getting in your way? In other words, if you got rid of this and this and this, you would be so effective. What we thought we'd do up front is actually share with you the top 10 time wasters around the world and see how do you compare with that. Are you actually making a few of those time wasting mistakes, or are you actually the perfect individual as a business owner and business leader where you've evolved, you've got great strategy in place and you know exactly what's happened? Keeping in mind, these time wasters, in fact, the top 10 time wasters are the things that really do get in the way of you producing better results. Let's see whether 1, 2, or 3 of these are things that impact you, or do you have a bit of a package deal of these? So the first one is shifting priorities a la crisis management. And this is the ability where, rather than focusing in on one particular component, we start to shift all over the place. Now, that can not only have an impact for your productivity, it can have an impact on your team's productivity. Because if you're shifting priorities, remember your business is a reflection of you, pretty much so, the team will actually reflect that as well. The second one is interruptions. This is everything from telephone tag, where I call you, you're not in, you call me back, I'm at lunch, I call you back, you're on the phone. Backwards and forwards to actually get through to speak to someone. To someone dropping into your office and actually interrupting you from the main aim of the game, what you're focused on and where you're at. The average manager and executive in a business today is interrupted every 10 to 11 minutes. But it's not just the interruption, it typically takes 3 or 4 minutes to get focused back to where you were before the interruption. So it can be a very, very big time waster. The next one is no clear goals and really a lack of focus. I don't have time for goals, I've actually got to just get in there and actually do it and make it happen. The next is messy desk and looking for things. You know, the average person in business today spends somewhere between 3 and 5 hours per week looking for things within arm's reach. In other words, you know it's there, you just can't find it at the moment. That is 45 minutes to an hour per day where you're actually in search mode finding something. And you know the whole saying, you know, like the sign of a clean desk is a sick mind, and you know a messy desk means a creative mind. Just be very aware that that's getting in the way of you being productive. In fact, the thing we say at 10X is your desk is really your personal productivity work centre. Is it set up that way, or have we just got some bad habits from the past, present, rather than future present loop that we need to put in place to really move forward? Next, procrastination. Now, the interesting thing about procrastination, there is a very strong link between procrastination and perfectionism. What does that mean? Well, if I can't do it perfect, then I won't do it at all. Rather than actually recognizing that as long as we're actually improving, as long as we're getting better each month, then that will be a great way of going. Please don't stress out, and when I say this, but I've never ever seen a perfect business. And there's a very good chance that even though you might think your business is getting close to perfection, it'll never actually get there. So one of the things that we actually say at 10X is never let perfect get in the way of better. Provided you're doing better business this month than last month, then thumbs up, keep going. Next is ineffective delegation. That's when I've delegated something out to someone else and it comes back late the wrong way, not at all. Next time you have that thing to delegate, blow it, I may as well do it myself. So rather than delegation being the most effective form of on-the-job training, as well as a way of starting to leverage your time, we start to take things back. Of course, if you're taking things back from me as a team member, I'll start giving you things back happily. Why? It means you're making the decisions, you're taking the actions, I have less work to do, you have more to do. Next is the inability to say no. Now, when we were young and little kids, we were quite often told, look, if you actually are asked to do something, then you better say yes. So quite often in business, we have this inability to say no. So we start taking on board the wrong things, which actually has a detrimental impact to our focus and the ability to produce results. Next is poor planning. This is everything from daily planning to planning for the week to having a business plan and a business direction as to where you're heading. I don't have time to plan, I'm too busy. Quite often is the words that we actually hear in 10X. Next is poor use of systems. Now the key word there is actually use of systems. In many, many cases, businesses have some great systems, but the question is, are we actually utilising those systems? Are we actually effectively putting them in place? And have we trained the team to be able to use them well? And finally, wrapping out the top 10 is meetings. About a third of the time that's spent in meetings is considered by the people in meetings as a total waste of time. So that works out for most people in business about 6 weeks a year that we're sitting in meetings where we could actually be doing something else. So there you have it, the top 10 time wasters out there in the world. What I'd like you to do is now have a conversation and say, how are we actually going on these? Are there a whole series there that you're falling into? Is there one that really stands out for you? Or is it more like a package deal? There's a whole series of issues there that are getting in the way of you actually producing great results. You see, if we're going to improve your focus, we will have to do something with these time wasters. Because when we actually increase our focus, we start to eliminate these issues and allow us to produce even better results. After you've had this conversation, the other thing your 10X coach will do is a fun exercise called your lifetime reality check. Now, this could be the most depressing thing you've done in a little while, but it's a very, very important reality check to help you get focused and answer the question, where am I investing my time and how do we actually get out there and make it happen? Enjoy the conversation.